let you
my
know when we're
background.
live.
Sure.
Let's see. Yep, we're live, guys.
Yay!
All right.
Huzzah.
Well, everybody, welcome. This is Saturday AM, the world's most diverse manga brand and anthology, and we are very excited. This is a latest episode of our show called Saturday AM Roundtable, and we are going to be doing the first of a set of episodes here, I think three, that will be profiling this year's Summer of Manga. Now, Summer of Manga is a very special event that we do every year for Saturday AM. It's where we give you, the fan and the independent creator of your own mangas and comics, to have a chance to submit your proposal for a story directly to us. As you do that, they can take that and we can present it to all of our fans across our Saturday AM magazines. So it's a very competitive event. We do it every year. It's open to the public worldwide. We have an age range of 18 and up, but we every year discover some extraordinary creators from around the world, and this year will be no different. However, we're going to have some differences this year, and it's all about empowering you to choose the artists and the concept that you actually would like to see. So we're going to have a number of entries this year that we're going to review. We're going to review some of them right here tonight, and then a few more in the next couple of episodes. But there'll be one slot for an artist that you yourself will be able to choose. So it's very important for you to pay attention for all these three episodes. Listen to all the different concepts. Listen to the things that we describe as what we think are important aspects of producing a short story. And then make your own decision with the choices you will have at the end of these three episodes. So we'll talk more about this throughout the next couple of episodes. But for now, we're going to reveal the first set of creators that we're going to review, and we're going to talk about their entries. So a couple of things to get out the way before we begin, and I'll introduce all of our wonderful people here. First of all, to all of you guys, as standard protocol goes, when we do these episodes, make sure you mute your mic while we're talking, so that there's no aberrant noise and so forth out there. So if you're in an area that might have some noise, just mute your mic until you're ready to speak. So Oscar, that would be you, son. That would be you. You with the point. You with the Calvin and Hobbes hat. That's you, son. Mute your mic. Mute
You
it.
just say it's tiger hat.
Mute your mic, son. Mute your mic. Good Lord. I don't know where you live in the jungle. The thing here as well is that we have Saturday AM. If you guys don't know what we're about, we are, again, the world's most diverse manga anthology and brand. We've been around since 2013. And what that means is that we have extraordinarily gifted creators who produce manga style comics, and they themselves, of course, are not Japanese, but they come from all over the world. They've been influenced with that material for some time. So they've produced their own original concepts, and we have been very fortunate to exclusively publish many of them. You may know, of course, of Apple Black, which is one of our big flagship titles from superstar Nigerian YouTuber White Manga. We also have Clock Striker, which is Shonen Manga's first Black female lead character, which is illustrated by Asaka Galadima from France. And we have a host of titles from there. We have three magazines that you can discover. Saturday AM, of course, being our biggest. Saturday PM being focused more on seinen manga, which is more mature manga for young men. And then Saturday Brunch, which is a really exciting line that we have, which is focused on josei, shoujo, and female-oriented content in general, with the incredible representation for LGBTQ. We have a web manga portal as well called Pilot Manga. You can go to it at www.pilotmanga.com. It features some fantastic creators who are producing web manga for either a line we have called Saturday Afternoon or just independent manga platform where people can upload their content if we have decided to run them. Chris is here. I'll talk more a little bit about his series he has there. So Saturday AM has been around for some time now, and we're really entering a new phase of the company. If you've not heard, we just brokered a big deal to do to bring our diverse manga titles to graphic novel format around the world. They're coming out next month. You can pre-order them right now. And I just want to show you guys why I took off my background filter, guys. I want to show you guys some of the great titles we have coming up. We have 10 books coming this year. The first 5 books will come out within the next couple of weeks. And so those are Apple Black, Black Volume 1 here by White Manga, of course, which is absolutely fantastic. As you guys know, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful version of Apple Black, brand new material, brand new story elements, completely relettered, brand new production values. Folks, when you feel this book, it's incredible. It's an incredible feel to it. It's got color pages within it. It's got brand new pages as well, including a brand new post-credit scene, which I won't spoil for you, but here's a quick glimpse of it. So this is an awesome package here. You're going to be able to get Volume 1 next month. You can pre-order it right now. And Volume 2, with the exact same details, brand new information, brand new content, brand new pages, coming out in November of this year. So we are completely committed to bring you guys incredible manga experiences from our line. Second book we're coming out with is Hammer, Volume 1 from Jay Oden. This is the very first time Hammer's been collected. It's one of our big series from a very popular artist. You can see once again, it feels unbelievable. You guys won't know until you feel it. It's got, again, color pages within it. The page stock is heavy, it's durable, so therefore it allows the ink to really sit in, and you'll see what I'm talking about when you see it. Having worked on books that we've done in the past, I've never seen our stuff look this incredible, and it really does. You will be blown away by it. We have Saigami by Seni. This is an isekai fantasy series starring a fantastic, interesting young female protagonist. You're going to want this. This has got some new material pages in it as well. Again, it's got that beautiful full color artwork where we can put it. I always love trying to find this stuff. I can't find it. Here we go. Here's a shot of one. And then it's also got some completely redone pieces of art as well. Seni has consistently grown as a creator. So when we had a chance to do a new version of Saigami, the definitive version of Saigami, we made sure that she corrected some of the artwork that she felt like she could do much better. And she did. And she kills it. It's amazing. The last new graphic novel book coming out during this next 6 weeks will be Oblivion Rouge. This is going to be amazing. This is a seinen manga. So this is an older manga. For older readers, you'll see that we call this out here on the back of the books. In fact, all of our books will have information for you and your family to make sure you're getting the right books for any loved ones that you're buying our titles for. But this is a really dark fantasy. It's what they call Afrofuturism. So it's a scientific take on African tribal politics and culture. And in this one, these young kids within Africa are dealing with this global plague that's just destroyed parts of Africa. They have come together as part of this military group to stop this. And there's something else that's going on, something kind of alien and demonic. And so it's really, really extraordinary series, very violent, but very cool, very thought-provoking. You're going to love this, Oblivion Rouge. And last but not least, 5 books in the first couple of weeks, How to Draw a Diverse Manga. This is an absolutely essential book. I actually talked to a big retailer today. The books are going to be carried by a number of big stores here in America, Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, and Germany. But I talked to one of them today, and this was high on their list. I mean, they just could not believe we were doing something as cool as this. This book obviously is fundamentally from the other books. This is not a graphic novel. This is a how to draw book. And as White Manga said, as we were working on this, he had this great line. He said, "This is the best how to book you're ever going to see." Of course, when he said that, I was thinking, well, that's pretty bold. Why doesn't he give himself bold comments like that? But when I started thinking about it, I started thinking about all the things the book does. We have a section on what art supplies are best to use. We have a section on how to create black hair, which of course you never see in how to draw books. We have a section on semiotics, basically theories. When you get into character design theory, things like semiotics and color theory, these are high-level college course ideas that we're explaining in this book. We get into things about skin tone for different ethnic characters. So this is a really big book. We've got artists in there from South Africa, from Hungary, from Nigeria, from New Zealand, from the United States, of course. And it's just a really, really, really expressive, expansive book. You're going to love it. And it looks gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. So again, our graphic novel line kicks off next month. We've got 10 books coming out this year. Saturday AM, the biggest undisputed brand in independent diverse manga, and you're going to start to see these in your favorite stores within the next couple of weeks. If you want to support us, you want to support the creators, and you want to get these books for yourself, make sure you pre-order them right now. If you go ahead and pre-order them on any of the major websites, Barnes & Nobles, Waterstones, Walmart.com, Amazon, you can then get your information and you can come back to our website and you will be able to enter your information in to score a free pack of trading cards. These trading cards are exclusively designed by us. They are this beautiful packaging here. They come packaged 5 cards per pack, and you can collect the entire line we're doing. We're doing 26 cards for this first launch. So if you pre-order all the books, you'll get all 26 cards or 25 cards, and you can get the sixth one through some other ways that we'll do. We'll be at conventions and things like that over the year. But these look amazing. So this is the Oblivion Rouge card here for Umi, which is one of the main characters. You can see that these are rendered really well. I know it's very light here, but you can see it's rendered. We got a piece of panel art here, country flag from the creator, the first appearance of the creator of the character within our line of books. We have biographical information about the characters. We have chase cards. Every pack has one chase card. This is a full stamped card that you can get. And one of the biggest ones you're going to find is Eridus here, which is the super version of Sano from Apple Black. This is brand new artwork by White Manga. It's got some beautiful full art that runs around the character. You get some really cool information about the character who's yet to appear yet, folks. So you're getting some pre-information about the character. Everything is full stamped. Really, really cool. So there are 25 cards in all. We've got characters, like Hammer, Stud from Hammer, from J. Odin, Cass from Clock Striker. We've got Rex Leo and Eli from Titan King, and it just goes on and on and on. So really great stuff. Here's another full card here for Henshin, which is one of our big series from Saturday Brunch. So again, we're really excited about these cards, and we've gotten some excellent commentary from folks who are entering to or trying to get these cards after they pre-order the book. So if this is a incentive for you to pre-order the book, you should take advantage of it. Pre-order the books. You can go to our website, go to graphic novel section. You'll find all the books that are coming out this year. Folks, this is a long-term thing. We got more books coming out next year. So this year, go there, check out the book, see what you like, hit the pre-order button, go to your favorite store that you would like to buy the book from. We don't play favorites. Go to your favorite store, get the book. Some may have discounts. And then when you get the book, you come back, or not get the book, when you pay for the book and your order goes through, you got your receipt, you come back to our site, you put your information in, and you register to get a pack of cards. This will start going out later this month and next month. So please make sure you do it, because it's only while supplies last. And we're going to be doing a lot of appearances. We'll have some of the packs of the cards and some of the appearances we'll have throughout the summer and year. So this is not an indefinite amount of cards. We produced several thousand of them. So you need to get them now if you want them. So please check this out. And with that being said, we're now going to talk about Summer of Manga. This is a short story event, folks. It's a short story event, meaning that we are not here to discuss someone's long-term multi-volume epic, because number one, this is webcomics, and the majority of people don't do that. They want to do it, but they don't actually ever accomplish that. And then number two, you can't do this for a living if you don't actually engage with telling a story, understanding how to tell a story from the beginning, a middle, and an end. So that's the entire idea behind Summer Manga, is to really give creators a chance to test themselves by pitching their content to a publisher, us, and then having to answer tough questions about that content. Today, for example, as we talk about these creators, this does not mean they're going to get published in Summer Manga. It means that we think they can get published in Summer Manga. We'll talk to them further, and if they do well in those conversations, then yes, they'll then put on the pathway to have their short story produced on Saturday AM. But again, this is about short stories. You got to be able to tell a beginning, a middle, and an end. So you're going to see some content here that may make great long-term stories. But we're here to discuss their capabilities as short story. So with that being said, let me introduce everybody here. In fact, Jackie, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you do it, because I got to hop up real quickly and do something in the background here. I'm going to let you do it. I'm going to turn my camera off. But Jackie Rindy, she's the Batgirl to my Batman. If you didn't know, Oscar is Alfred. But that's our situation there. Jackie will explain all these wonderful people that we have here. They'll introduce themselves real quickly so we can get started. I'm going to turn my camera off and my mic until I come back. So I'll be right back.
Cool.
The floor is yours, Jackie.
Well, no hate on Alfred. I think Alfred has some of the best quotes in Batman. So, but
No argument there.
but yeah. So my name is Jackie, and what I do for Saturday AM, I help with events like this, Summer of Manga, March Art Madness. I also do PR and social media, just help promoting what we're currently doing, like with the graphic novels. And we have some guests. Some of these are, well, all of them are artists uh, within our company. We have Chris Burns, and Chris is has a manga called Chikara, and you can check it out on Saturday AM Pilot Manga. It's a website. And we also have Val, and she goes by Serenribity. She has a comic within Saturday Brunch called Otherworldly Travel Agency. And then we have Oscar Fong, our Alfred. He is the artist behind Massive Multiplayer World of Ghosts, and that is in our Saturday AM magazine. You can check out all of these artists on social media and give them a follow because they're just very talented and they've got some awesome stories. I know Oscar has his graphic novel coming out this year. If you guys are interested in getting your graphic novel published, it could be with our company. Events like Summer of Manga is a great way to get your work seen by us and get on that path of, okay, let's create a series, and okay, do I have enough content for this series? If you do, then we make that graphic novel. So yeah, so if you guys want to say anything, floor is yours.
Real quick, I just got a notification about the Google Meet. It says
Oh,
9 minutes left.
it does, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right, no worries.
Yeah, I
we'll
was gonna say,
create.
like, then
What, Fred?
so you're gonna do it now? Yeah, so this is why we've talked about this in the past. That I should probably set these up. So this is gonna end. Then I take it. Do you want me to go and create the thing? These are probably not
Yeah.
gonna be live then, Jackie.
Yeah, if you could actually create the new room, Fred, because what happens is when I let you create a room, we have to wait for you to get in because none of us can get in. So that's why I'm creating the rooms. But I'll just wait for you to create another room so we all can hop on. Um, but
Right. Okay.
I do wanna take a moment to say that some of our artists for Summer of Manga, they appeared with us in March Art Madness. And if you guys don't know what March Art Madness is one of the events that we have in Saturday AM, and it's basically a contest every week. There's a different theme that you draw, and it's all fan art. So it could be video games, it could be anime, but um, the whole option is you want to see who comes out on top, who was going to come out first place. So we had a lot of really great artists participating in that event. Several of them are now registering for Summer of Manga, so you might see a couple of them here as we review these pitches. But yeah, I know we got to kind of briefly see some of the pitches. So what do you guys think of the pitches? Just kind of on a brief note. I guess I could start with Chris. What do you have to say about this group of pitches that we're going to discuss for this episode?
I'm actually pretty excited to talk about some of them. There's some, because everybody has their own, I guess like take on what they're interested in genre wise and stuff. So it's cool to kind of see like the different, I don't know, like the different, it's hard to describe the different way the next generation is like making stuff and how it like sounds and how I imagine it. So I'm pretty excited to kind of go more in depth and talk about with you guys.
Nice. How about you, Val? I know you got to see some of the pitches. What do you think?
I feel like there's lots of potential for really fresh and like new story ideas, even if they kind of sound like maybe old series or existing series. I feel like new perspectives will really allow them to like have this nice like breath of fresh air.
Cool. And Oscar, did you get to see him at all? I'm not sure if you got to see him.
I got to see a few. I will say I am looking forward to going in depth and looking at these summaries. But any further insight into what I think about these, I really don't have much. So it all seem. I mean, they are exciting to read. I think perhaps perhaps my opinions will be much better heard once we actually start getting into it.
Yeah. Well, good stuff. I think Fred is inviting us to join on a new room. So if you guys could hop onto the new room, I'm just going to get all of us transferred and we could try to have a seamless show. All right, so let me see here. Turn this off for 1 second. Okie dokie. All right.
All my backgrounds are terrible because I don't have like a wall behind me, and my room is so dirty. But yeah, I could put myself in.
Join me in the
Let me
forest.
see. Where is?
Val's in a forest, and Jackie's like in a nighttime arena, and Oscar's in a fantasy land.
Let's see.
What?
All right, sorry about that. I think you guys
What
saw
constitutes a-
my
what
my
constitutes
workplace
a
chat for a
I'm
second there.
going to fly.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's all good. So that's why I said, I don't worry about stuff like that. I don't worry about like, people are going to be here. I don't worry about that. If as long as it's enjoyable and we're being respectful, people and entertaining, and people will dig it. But I don't worry about the basic stuff. All right, so I can record this. So again, when I do it, I can also record it, and all I have to do, Jack, is just make you a co-host. That's all I have to do for you to then have the ability to get people on the call about me.
Okay, that
But
would be perfect if we could do that, because that's the
Yeah,
only thing I struggle with Google Meets. I'm not able to bring people in. So yeah.
Yeah, I understand. I think we've done it once. I think we did it one time. I mean, like it's not hard, but I do have to set it up, so that's on me. Okay, so then let's so I can record this. Is this been going live, or how are you gonna do this? I can record it if you'd like.
Well, I'm actually recording it right now, so it's all
Okay,
good.
you're recording it through the OBS. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Is it going live though? Is it streaming live?
Yeah, it's still live. We're live.
Okay. Well, hey everybody. All right. Okay then. Well, everyone got introduced, I assume. So we're gonna go ahead and just jump into the material here. So, so with that being said, then let's go ahead and jump right in with some of these entries. But what I want to do first, I do want to talk real quickly about some folks that we did not choose, and I'd like to kind of jump into that just a bit because I think it's important as we look at some of the aspects here of not choosing certain people. So if you just give me a second here, I've got it pulled up. There we go. And I'm going to share my screen here. So now this is an entry that I flagged, and in no way is this meant to be disrespectful to these artists, because this artist is amazing. This artist's name is Bert Sawal Art. You see, he only got 391 followers, but this talent level is fantastic. So I hope that you guys would follow this young creator. He participated in Summer of Manga. In fact, these were 3 of the entries from Summer of Manga this year. This is one of my favorites. Look at that. Just look at that incredible detail and perspective for round 3. He made it to round 3 and didn't get past round 4. So really talented artist out of the Philippines. His proposal was called Adept Spirit, and the concept here, I'm having to read it here, but the concept is Mezu, a young boy gets set up and ends up losing his home to one of the 12 spirits, the spirit of the shadow who destroyed his home. It was sealed in his body, making him the shadow adept. The shadow spirit tells him the strongest of the 12 spirits has the ability to grant one wish. Hearing this, Mezu ventured into the world in search of the 12 spirits so that he may one day return everything back to the way it used to be. But things are not always as they seem. And then we asked him to describe the concept. So the concept here is say here, a compiled version of the first few chapters already made explaining Meizu's origin and goal. So that's what they gave us. We said describe the concept of your manga in a short story or paragraph. So again, folks, this is a short story event. What we're trying to ascertain as we do these events, we're trying to get a sense of, can these people tell a short story? Can they actually provide us information via a short story and give us all the information we need to know about the concept? And then we need to see their artwork to see if do they have the ability to do sequential artwork? Do they have perspective? Are all their characters looking the same? Like what's going on with these people? You can see again with this artist that he has incredible diversity, he has incredible range, and he's able to do lots of different things with his artistic ability. So no question about his artistic talent. Here is where here's where, let me mute my thing here because we got this chat going back and forth. But here's where I think things start to fall down, and this is where sometimes people don't get chosen. First and foremost, this is a team. This is not this person. So he is working with another person who evidently is from Norway. Birdswell Art is from Philippines. This other person's from Norway. The person, we went to your Instagram page and there's nothing there. I'm not going to show this person's Instagram page. I don't think that'll be an appropriate use of the show, but there wasn't anything there. So we got Birdswell Art, who's got talent. We know he's got talent, but then we've got this. He's in a team, so it's not his comic. He's been hired to work on a comic from someone else. This person doesn't live near him, so this is someone who lives in an entirely different country, quite a ways away, right? Norway versus the Philippines are very, very far away. Teams are hard. It's hard for us to judge whether or not this team, these teams are legitimate. If there's, can they work together? As anyone who's been inside him will tell you that teams in general have often been really rare within the success of Saturday AM. They've rarely lasted, mainly because you have to have a relationship. The two people have to have some sort of relationship. Either the writer's paying the artist, or the writer has a level of prestige and credibility that the artist can respect. But everybody has ideas. So to have a team where you got one person who has an idea and the other person is drawing it, it sends off red flags. It's really a difficult thing to judge as to whether or not they can actually work. And then you add to it the fact that the writer has nothing. This writer, and again, this person might be a really nice person, but their profile page was something that, again, folks, you're pitching this to me, the publisher of a major brand. Replace me with anybody from Viz, Kodansha, Yen, Marvel, DC. When you are trying to get your work legitimately appraised, when you're trying to get your work taken seriously, and you tell me to check out your profile, and your profile has memes, that's it. It has memes that are making fun of people, memes that are just making really crass, juvenile, pedantic jokes. What am I supposed to do with that? I'm not a child. I don't find that stuff funny. And I'm trying to take you seriously as a writer. And this, what you're giving me is a profile that just makes fun of people. And then the person has a second profile. And I'm like, okay, well, let me go check out the second profile. Maybe that's the profile that actually has at least something realistic on it. Nope, more of the same. So I've got an artist who I'm not sure this is his concept. I think the artist has talent, but I'm not sure this is his concept. I see nothing that suggests that this artist has any connection to this other than being paid to promote this thing. And I've got a writer who doesn't take their craft seriously enough to point me to places where I can read their writing. Write a play, write a short story, write a comic book script that tells me that you at least really want to make comics. The idea that you can only be taken seriously as a writer for comics is that you got to have an artist draw your stuff is one of the foundationally ignorant things I've heard for decades since we started Saturday AM. It's not true. Writers write. So if you need an artist to tell your story, then you are not a writer. You have an idea. You're a fanboy or a fangirl. And conversely, as I just said a few minutes ago, every artist that you will ever meet, all these wonderful artists, all have their ideas. Some of their ideas may be good. Some of their ideas may be crap. But they all are capable of generating their own ideas. And the kicker is that they can draw them too. So if you are a writer and you feel like you need an artist to validate your writing ability, and then when I say, well, show me your writing ability, and you have nothing to show, that is akin to saying, hey, I really want a job at this nice restaurant, store, hotel, but you come in and you're dressed like a bum. You don't have any clothes on, or your clothes are tattered and dirty. It tells me that you don't take this job seriously enough to present yourself in a professional manner. So then why would we treat you professionally? Why would we take you seriously as a professional? And so therein lies the rub here. So Burstwall Art, wonderful artist, would have loved to see what he could do, but we passed on this idea because this partnership thing that he's evidently involved in does not seem genuine for this event. And of course, I forgot to mention the kicker being when we asked for more information, mind you, this is the writer filled all this out. That's why I'm not showing the writer stuff. When we asked for more information about the concept, their comment was not to explain the concept, not to give us more information on the concept, but was just to say, we have a compiled version of the first few chapters already made. Folks, we're not here to publish your long-term concept. Webtoon exists for that. And as I've said many, many times, the majority of Webtoon stuff doesn't ever finish. That's a reason why Webtoon and Tapas and the sites allow you to upload their content for free, because that's how they make their money. And this is no shade. I think it's a great business model, but it's not the business model I'm involved in. We are a proper publisher. We want to have content that we believe in. We want to have content that our data says could actually be successful. And we want to work with creators who are actually committed to being successful with their concept, not who are just looking for more eyeballs. And here's the kicker, folks. If you're on Webtoon and you don't have eyeballs, that kind of tells you all you need to know about that concept. I mean, it is what it is. Webtoon is one of the biggest websites in the world. So if you're not generating a lot of traffic on Webtoon, going somewhere else is not going to change that trajectory. You've got to believe in your concept and give it 150%. And this is a dog eat dog. This is a everything or nothing sort of business, meaning you can put everything into this and get nothing out of it. That's entertainment, folks. That's entertainment. You can be the world's best singer. Your mama says that, your dad says that, your boyfriend or girlfriend says that, your family says that, your friends say that, you win local awards and so forth, but you'll never, ever be Ariana Grande. That's the business. That's entertainment. So no one's here to attack anyone's talent. But again, this idea that like, oh, well, I'm going to do this concept I've got. I'm just going to keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And eventually someone will give me the time of day. Folks, it might work, it might not work, but our job is to find the things that we believe are going to work, and that's what we publish, as any publisher on the planet does. Mm-hmm. So that's what this event is about. It's about short stories. We want to see that you can actually tell a great story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. We want to know that you actually have the ability, the focus to actually do that. And so when the answer I get to that question is, we have a compiled version of the first few chapters already made, then this was already a fail, because they're not taking it seriously to say, we're going to come up with an original concept for this event, for a short story, to see if we actually have what it takes to beat all the other folks applying and see if we can get published on Saturday AM. You're not even taking that part seriously. So Burstwall Art, fantastic artist. This is proof that great art does not get you a slot in Summer of Manga. We already have great artists. You've got to be an exceptional artist that has an exceptional purpose, and you have a great short story to tell. And this is just a good example of someone who unfortunately didn't have that. I want to present one more person here who didn't make it in.
Could I add something, Fred?
Yes, you may.
Yeah. So, in everything that you just mentioned, I did want to say, because I get a lot of DMs from people asking me about their comic and like what I think of it and stuff, and I always tell them the same thing. I tell them that, hey, my opinion isn't like said and true. I tell them, if you have family and you have friends, I highly recommend they review your art and your story and give you honest feedback, because you don't want them to sugarcoat when they're looking at your stuff. You want to ask them, hey, I want honest feedback on this. Is this something you like? Is this something you don't like? That way you have the best possible pitch to present to us, because a lot of times I guess we as artists, we kind of get a big head and we think that our art and our story is like monumental. It's like the next Naruto, when really it could be not so great. So I tell artists all the time, get feedback, be humble, and get honest feedback on your work, because if you're really serious about joining Saturday AM, then you want to have the best pitch possible and the best art possible. So that's what I tell people all the time. That's the best way to get in. So that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I mean that's 100% accurate. And so I was trying to find the other entry, I couldn't find it, but that's fine. Again, we're not here to bash any artists and so forth. So what I would just say is that we had a number of entries that we didn't choose, where the creator, where the let me see if I can stop sharing this, where the creators didn't have a profile. And that's really unfortunate. That's frustrating because, first of all, we make it clear that your profile needs to be public for us to look at. But they didn't have a profile. They had a profile that was public or private. I mean, it's private. And folks, this is there's a disconnect here. If the perception of you wanting to be a professional artist is for us to have to friend you to see your work, there's a disconnect here if you are scared to show your work publicly. I had one person that wrote, they said, "Hey, I know my profile is not public, but I have it private for personal reasons." What? Well, you can be invisible when you create your work? I mean, like, I don't understand how that works. Like, we're certainly not in the business of trying to humiliate or be disrespectful to someone. But by the way, criticism sometimes is going to be not what you necessarily want to hear. That's the point of criticism. So you can't do entertainment and hide from the people who would be your customers. You can't do that. If you want this, you have to be willing to put yourself out there. That's why, I always have great respect, even though I think comedians sometimes get way out of line. Sometimes they get slapped. But I think sometimes I think the thing with comedians, though, I think that's always crucial, is that comedians understand that you can't do that job, no matter how funny you are, if you're not willing to get out there and run the risk of being heckled, run the risk of being booed. If you're not willing to get out there and face the public and try to win them over, then you don't need to try to be a comedian. And entertainment, I don't care if it's music, acting, creating comics, entertainment is literally that. That's the whole point of entertainment. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. And so, with that being said, there were a number of people. Again, the majority of people. These are what you see here are the folks that we thought, and and again, we're gonna call that list down even further. But these are the people that we thought had enough of the representation of their work. They had the right attitude with their work. They had the right presentation of themselves and what they're capable of doing, to where we were able to see into what we thought they could be. Doesn't mean that'll happen. Doesn't mean that when we subject them to the next interview, if they make it there, that they'll pass that interview and end up in Saturday AM. But what you see here are everything I just talked about, putting that through the lens of how we observe these people and determine if they had a place here. So we're going to reveal two people tonight that actually are in, and we're going to obviously interview them next, but there's no real discussion to be had about them. They've already passed my check. So what we have now, we have 5 artists that we're going to present first. These 5 artists have not been chosen to go on to the next round. They've been chosen to be considered to go to the next round, and that's what we're here to do in this episode. So again, we've got Jackie, we've got Val, we've got Chris, we've got Oscar, the Tiger, and we have myself, and we're going to review all of these people right now. Now, what I want to say to these 4 lovely people, who some of them may, I guess, be doing this over the weekend, because I won't be. This is it for Fred. But I'll say this, though. My time is valuable, kids. I got to watch basketball here in a moment. But what I will say is that I like that Oscar the Grouch is trying to shake his head. Oscar the Grouch. But what I'll say to these 4, though, just as a quick aside, is, folks, we're going to try to make this brief. Again, this is not an academic discussion about your works. How can it be? We're taking our experience level and we're applying it to looking at what you guys have submitted. So with that being said, I think it's important for the 4 of you to make sure you understand. Please don't repeat the same thing. Listen to what everyone's saying. Don't repeat what everyone else said. If someone says something like, "Yeah, I like it, had great artwork," to then sit up there and spend 5 minutes talking about how great the artwork was is useless, and it's a waste of our time and their time and everyone else. Let's try to stay focused on this. Just provide insight as you see it. If all you thought was, "Yeah, I agree, the artwork was great," well, you can say that and let's move on. We don't need to have more commentary from people just to hear yourself talk. Let's just kind of push through this, because these people want to get on with their evening, as do you guys. So that being said, the first entry we're going to talk about, if you guys will consult your handy dandy Excel sheet, and people you at home, you guys can't see this, but our folks here will see it. I may show a screen or 2 here in a moment. We have it's called Duddy Comics, the title actually didn't make it in here, so we didn't get the titles in here. But the concept is Promised Neverland meets Warcraft. So this is someone named Hespero. I mean, the concept here is Hespero, a gifted child in the lands of Valentia, has just passed the royal magical test with flying colors and will attend magic school to become a mage. Little does he know, the school he thought he would be attending is actually a dungeon where he will have his magical energy drained from him to produce the military's secret fuel source. Weak and barely clinging to life, he uses his natural wits to free himself and others from the castle. So I'm going to let you guys comment on this. We're going to go around the horn first. We'll start with Chris and give some quick thoughts on that pitch. But we can say right now, pitch, Promised Neverland meets Warcraft. That's a great pitch. And the concept is a great concept. So talk to me, Chris. What did you make of that? Give the name
So,
of the comic in a minute too.
oh, sorry, what'd you say?
I said we're gonna get the name of the comic here in a minute. So I'm gonna pull it up. Go ahead.
Okay. So Promised Neverland meets Warcraft. I am not a big Warcraft person, so when I read that, it was kind of like it was already foreign to me in a way. But I do know Promised Neverland. I love it. Anime, manga, top tier. But I thought about the whole pitch. I'm reading it right now just to kind of run through it again because it was a lot. Oh wow. I think it has potential. I'm definitely one for that kind of what's the word or what's the or it's kind of like it starts off you think it's going to be a really fun story about quote unquote friendship or slice of life, and then it gets dark really quick. I definitely like that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, overall, and in terms of like the artwork and stuff, it gives me very a mix of it's hard to describe the style of it. I don't want to take up like too much time about it, but I do think the art looks cool. Definitely very kind of very I guess in a way kind of similar to how Attack on Titan is, where it's kind of semi-realism rather
Right.
than super zany characters.
Right.
I think it definitely if done right could be very very well, because I haven't found another anime like Promise Neverland that gives me that same like oh like who's gonna die next, like the Walking Dead type stuff. So
That's yep. Good point. Good point. Okay. Oscar Fong, what about you, buddy?
Well, I'm familiar with both the Promised Neverland and Warcraft, so it kind of feel like I feel like I'd be watching like the Promised Neverland, but with a bit more magic system, with more of the monsters, a bit more of the dungeon diving. I think it's kind of like that fun aspect, but also it's gonna bring in a bit of that the darker aspects of like kids getting hurt, a lot of danger. It's not like such like a magic powered. It sounds like it's not going to be so much based on like who's stronger in like magic power, because again, as in pitch they mentioned that he's got to use his wits to outsmart the creatures and the obstacles that are in the dungeon. So I think it's kind of interesting, really. It certainly seems like it could go off to a good start. I'm not sure. I'm just looking at the art, and like I think it's good. But I'd like to see more of like what kind of for like the fantasies type like art style would look like
Yeah.
if they drew it. So yeah, looking forward to it.
So the short story, by the way, is called Hallowed. And just to, because I know there's a lot of information going back and forth here. Again, concept is a young kid named Hesperio. Thinks he's going to a school. Basically, he goes to school where he's supposed to learn to be a magic user and so forth. But it turns out the school is a front, and he's actually in a dungeon. And they're using the school. The school is using these kids, these magic kids, to siphon their magical energies to build this military weapon or whatever. So again, really clever concept. Val, what's your thoughts with this?
I'm wondering how they're going to kind of establish a power system and this expectation subversion all in around 10 to 15 pages. I like the concept, but it's a matter of if they can execute it in a short amount of time.
Very well said. Completely well said. That is the question. 100% right. Jackie, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, so I feel like this story is probably something that they have in mind as like a long-term series. But they're trying to figure out how to condense it into something smaller. I will say their artwork is decent. There's definitely room for improvement. And the more they draw, I think what they have now is good. Um, and I will say that their story idea, what hooked me on it is when he goes to the magic school and he realizes, oh shoot, I'm being played. There's something evil going on here. Like that's what hooked me onto the story, and that's why I really like it. So I guess we'll see if this artist ends up getting chosen for Summer of Manga. We'll see if they're able to tell this whole story in such a condensed format. But I think there's promise with this artist for sure.
Yeah, I think so. A couple quick things. I think first and foremost, yeah, I think the concept is a killer. I think the concept is fantastic, and yes, I think your Jackie's inclinations are correct. I think this is a story that the writer probably or creator wishes is a long running series. And look, frankly, based on the concept, it could be right if it's done well. So it's a short story event. It's about telling it as a short story. The editors, and what will happen with all these creators is that if we choose them and they go to the next round and they impress us the next round, which we'll ask them all these questions in the next round, then they will get assigned an editor, and the editor will work with them to kind of condense it into a story that can exist within a handful of pages. Then they got to do it right. So again, like this event is really meant to test the creators to see who's legitimate and who's not, right? Because you can have a really clever idea. This is a really clever idea. Can you execute it? Do you care enough to execute it? And I want to put out there real quickly regarding the art here. So yeah, this artist is competent. Doesn't mean this artist is great. Doesn't mean this artist is dynamic, but they're competent, and that's all you have to be to tell a story. So people who are looking at this and thinking, "Oh man, it's only got 11 likes, and this art, I could do better than this." Maybe you could, maybe you can't. What we look for, we look for artists that are competent. This artist at least has sequential pages. You can tell what's happening in each of these panels. This, by the way, is not from his short story Hallowed. So this is not Hallowed. This is just something else he worked on. But he's got stuff here that demonstrates a real potential, as Jackie put it, to be able to tell a story. So now, does it all come together? That's what we're going to find out. But in terms of the perception that we have of, okay, like the things that we look for about sequential art ability, the ability to render characters realistically, the ability to frame a scene, the ability to have a concept that actually has some intrigue to it. To me, this artist hits all of those marks, and this could be a great short story. We will find out as we vote on this one later tonight, but this definitely is one that piqued my interest, and it's called Hallowed, and we shall see what the group here thinks on this property at the end of our chat. The next title is called what's it called here? It's called well, actually I don't know what it's called here, but it is basically the pitch is Kill Bill meets Sakamoto Days. You guys obviously know Sakamoto Days, the hot new title right now, Shonen Jump. The basic plot is a Yakuza recall the story of a massacre taking place within the group to her subordinates. In the story, a mystical assassin known as the Niku Sui, or man eater, was said to have killed over 30 men within this group in a single night killing spree. She would seduce you, kill you, and devour you all in that order. As we follow her endeavors, cutting down prominent members, it eventually is turned into an all-out death brawl between her and the gang. She cuts them all down, but encounters a swordsman who stands between her and the final target, the gang's boss. The two engage with each other, questioning each other's motives and identities in the midst of a duel. The two match each other, but no matter how much she's injured, the assassin continues to fight. So basically, this is a kind of a showdown storyline with the main character who is pretty incredible in terms of their ability to kill people, and is basically on a quest with a it's kind of like not quite a revenge quest, but kind of on a mission quest, and it's her and this other person going to come down, the two of them. I won't spoil the ending of it. I'm going to show some art here real quickly, and when I do, I'll then get the name of the short story. But obviously, there's gonna be a lot of thoughts here about this, and I'm confident there's gonna be a lot of thoughts here. So, with that being said, let me pull this up here now. Okay, all right. This is the art, and let's start with Val on this concept. So, Val, what do you make of this concept?
I feel like this method of storytelling can work pretty well for the one shot, and I feel like they have an art style that can help support the genre of their story.
Okay, so you're all on board with this.
I think this this method, this art style will really help them uh, depict the story in a way that makes the reader feel the way that the author wants them to feel.
That's fair point. Okay. What about you, Chris?
Okay, first off, that sword. Ooh, that sword detail. That looks really good. In terms of the overall concept, though, I think it's really cool. When I think about stories like this, obviously, I kind of think of like the classic, I guess, Japanese. You have the samurai, or like even the yakuza, where it's like it's very manly oriented. Right? The journey of that type of story. But I think it's cool that this is focused on a female. I think that changes the whole dynamic and really shows that, yeah, like, like imagine like, this female just taking out just people left and right, like I think that's awesome.
All right. Let's see. Jack, what are your thoughts on this? By the way, the short story is called Niku Sui, which is the name of the female assassin. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the first impressions, just looking at their artwork, it strikes me as like Chainsaw Man, and one of our artists actually, Arunas, who does Deady Do Dead. It kind of feels like it's like a combination of those two styles in a way, but it works for the type of story that they're going for with the yakuza and the assassination in the battle. Um, like Val said. I do think that maybe their pitch was just a little bit too long. Like there was a lot of little things that maybe we didn't really need to know for the pitch itself because it was very
Yeah,
long. But that's just me nitpicking.
very much so.
Um, and
No, you're not. I'll talk about that in a minute. That pitch was entirely too long. But go ahead. I mean,
okay,
not
yeah,
pitch, but the.
I like the story concept. I think it's good. I would just say for artists for next year, try to make it a little bit shorter. But um but yeah, I'm interested in seeing what this artist does with this comic. I think it'd be a cool read.
I agree. I agree. All right. So we have young Oscar here. Oscar, would you like to give your thoughts, sir?
Yeah. So when I read the pitch idea of like Kill Bill meets Sakamoto Days, I wasn't really quite sure what to make of that. Uh, but I just look at the artwork; it does sort of clarify where it was going. Uh, Again, yeah, as Jackie said, the pitch was kind of long for me to quite understand what was going on. But I think overall the story feels like it is potentially something that is like that could be done like once the story has wrapped up for this one shot. It is like it's done and it's done. But then other ways you can look at it is that because it's not technically told in that character's perspective, it could also be told in other ways. So it does bring sort of like a new way to do further storytelling. So I think this does have potential.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, so I think that was everybody, right? Val, did you go? You've already went, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Sorry, folks. Folks, this is what happened when you get to be my age, so get used to it. Um, so it's called Nikwisi. You see the artist here. The artist here is very talented. They've got plenty of images here that are great. So listen, this is a scenario where um, I see this as 50-50, just like the last entry 50-50. But this one is to me 50-50 more on the art side. So the other entry we just reviewed, Hallowed, from Daddy Comics, you know, that's one that you look at, or at least I looked at, and in my experience, again, this artist has a great concept. Can they tell the concept as a short story? Clearly, this concept was meant to be something that could be a long running series. Clearly, but it's still a great concept. Great concepts are great concepts. Now, the question is, can you execute? And again, looking at that artist isn't dynamic. Artist isn't, it's not white manga or anything that's outrageous in terms of talent level, but it's competent. So now I look back at the concept and think, well, how great is this concept? I think the concept's really great. So I think the artist is competent. I think the concept's great. So Can this all work? We'll see. 50-50. There's enough positives here for me to go, yeah, I'm going to err on the side of yes, in terms of this being a part of this conversation tonight, because I think there's enough stuff here that tells me it's great. There's nothing that's like outstanding, but all of it's like really interesting and really clever, and artwork is competent. This is a scenario where this to me is 50-50, but it's all about the artwork, right? The artist clearly, I think, is capable of doing something that looks really flashy. And this concept is not really flashy. It's not really anything amazing. It's a standard story. There's nothing here that stands out as being unique. The first thing that bothers me, of course, like I said, is that ridiculously long setup that I read to you guys. I mean, they're basically telling the entire setup for the comic, and that's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, like, the point being here is, hey, please tell us what you've got. Tell us what this is, but tell us the story. We don't need to know the backstory. Make it clear to us why the story is interesting. Again, the Hallowed short story was interesting. Again, we don't know if the kid survives. We don't know anything, right? What we know from the plot is we know what the setup is. We know what the twist is. Now you're like, okay, you're either interested or you're not. With this one, this person really gives the entire breakdown of the story, and there's no one thing that stands out as being anything remotely interesting. This is stuff that you've seen 1,000 times. The other short story, I haven't seen that short story before. I've not seen that concept before, the short story. This one, I've seen this 1,000,000 times. They call out Kill Bill. Okay, I know what Kill Bill is, but what makes this like Kill Bill, except for the fact you got a female assassin? They mentioned Sakamoto Days. Sakamoto Days is an assassin story that's extremely quirky. Very, very, very quirky. Like, the character is really overweight, middle-aged guy, but he's this impossible assassin. He can kind of do this weird body dysmorphia stuff to make himself different ways and different fights and such. All the assassins are really strange and weird and over the top. This doesn't tell us anything like that. There is nothing here to suggest that this fighting series is going to be anything like the two properties that they mentioned. There's nothing here to suggest anything interesting or unique or clever. So again, this is an artist that has some clear talent. Whether or not this artist's talent can translate to this is a real question mark. Not to mention, by the way, again, like, there's not a ton here in terms of this artist's work that you can look at that's going to really tell you this artist can do sequential artwork. We went through this stuff. I didn't see a ton of sequential work here, but definitely talented. Definitely has, the ability to do some interesting stuff. So we shall see what everyone thinks. But this is a 50-50 more on the artist side of things. 50-50, this artist is unique enough and cool enough that they can take a really basic idea and at least make it look amazing. And that's really the question that we're facing at this moment in terms of this concept. So, all right. So with that being said, then we're going to go to the next title. As usual, I'm going to have to get the title here in a moment. But in the meantime, let me pull up a piece of art that I can show to you guys here that I think is some good stuff here. This is actually from their Summer of Manga experience last year, which was the first time we saw this artist. So there we go. I'm going to, I should tell you what, I'm going to let someone else read their stuff here. So let me have, Val, why don't you read this entry here for Milk Dimension here?
Sure, no problem.
Read the pitch and then read the concept, please.
Okay, the pitch is Dig Dug meets Berserk, all right? And here's a little breakdown. Professional chimney sweep Suto must descend into deep, bottomless caverns to sweep monsters formed from the collective consciousness of his society.
All right. So tell us what you thought then.
Oh, right away, I feel like that concept absolutely hooked me. I love this idea of taking a game like Dig Dug and combining it with like this gruesome story like Berserk. I'm not even gonna lie, that's one of the ones that caught my eye like immediately.
Okay. Your enthusiasm is noted, young lady. Let's see who else to Oscar. You talk to me, son. What you got?
Well, I have no idea what Dig Dug is. So when I was reading, I did read this pitch. So when I read it about this person descending into bottomless caverns to sweep, when I heard it was a professional chimney sweep, I thought he was like going into people's chimneys and then somehow would end up at people's houses. But I guess that somehow I got a different idea from it. But it does sound like another dungeon diver kind of story. So whether it has RPG elements in it, I don't think so. But yeah, uh, that's all I can really give. So
All right. Well, then why don't we go to Jackie? Why don't you give us your thoughts?
Well, his pitch was short and sweet. We get the idea right away, and I think it's very unique. And I really like that. It's who takes an idea of like a video game character or a chimney sweep for that matter and combines it with fighting monsters and stuff. I think that's a really cool idea. It did make me think. I don't know if you guys has seen the movie Wreck It Ralph, but there's like this character. His name is Fix It Felix, and he like fixes everything. So like in my head, I was imagining like this little character going through like chimneys and like beating bad guys, and I'm like, oh, this could be like a really fun concept. So I really like the story idea. I think this artist is decent when it comes to their art. I think they could tell a really cute story. And yeah, I would be interested in seeing what they make with this one.
All right. Let's see here. Chris Burns. I feel like you got a lot to say there. I mean, you're bursting really.
I'm not gonna lie, I had to look up Dig Dug real quick. Once I looked it up and read it again, I think it has. I think it's interesting. Now that I'm reading it, now I'm seeing Dig Dug. It gives me vibes of. I don't know if you've seen this, the anime called Decadence, where it's like these people that have to like kill aliens for like points and stuff for their society. It reminds me of that, but I'm curious to see because I also kind of thought of chimney sweepers from like Mary Poppins at first when I read it, and I was like, huh. Um, but no, I'm curious to see kind of how that's gonna look with that kind of, I guess, fantasy element and how the aesthetic of the art's gonna look in terms of like the outfits, right? Like the sweeper himself. Like, what are the themes gonna be for it? Will it be kind of inspired from like 1920 stuff, or is it like a completely different, take on chimney sweeping?
That's a fair point. The concept, by the way, folks, ladies and gentlemen, is called the sweeper. And just to repeat it, for you guys that may have forgotten it, the pitch is Dig Dug meets Berserk, and it's a professional chimney sweep who descends into deep, bottomless caverns to sweep monsters formed from the collective consciousness of a society. I think that, like I think everyone has said, I think this is a fantastic concept. This artist, as I indicated, had been a part of March Art Madness in the past. Now, 50-50, folks, 50-50. This artist has talent. There's no question about it. You can see here one image, and this artist had lots of images, was in Summer of Manga and had a good showing in Summer March Art Madness, which is our big global art tournament. However, I don't think they've done a lot of webcomic work. I've never seen it. And that always is a concern, because I think, first of all, this person's not young, not to give their personal information, but they're not young. So to me, this is one of those things where, comics is forever. You can make comics in your 60s. You can make it, in your teens. But there's never been a time like it is now for people to create comics that really want to create comics. You got, again, Webtoon, Tapas. You can make your own website, for really inexpensive. You can put a post on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. I mean, there's so many ways for people to get their work out there. So when I see people who have talent, who are a little older, who have an interesting concept, my thought is, how come you've never attempted this before? That's not to say you would have had success. It's not to say that you would be one of the countless number of people who have a webtoon or something that never finishes, that never goes anywhere. But at least to get that kind of out of your system, to kind of, it's like anything in life, whether it's, riding a bike or swimming or hiking or, driving a car, right? Whatever you do, the first time you try it is going to be, low key a disaster, right? It's not going to go perfectly. There's going to be elements where you're not comfortable. There'll be things that you kind of flub, but that's the process one goes through to get good at something. And so I think that comic creation is no different. I think that comic creators should always test themselves out. That's why, again, this event exists, right? It's a short opportunity for people to test their work out and present have to pitch it professionally, have to get it critiqued professionally, to then have to deal with an editor and have a deadline to get it done by. It's an opportunity for someone to have to go through that experience. But at the same time, this is a much bigger experience than just posting something on Webtoon. And so post something on Webtoon, just getting out of your system to create something, I think is an important step, I think, for people. I'm not saying Webtoon is the only way to do it. Of course, there's lots of other ways. But again, it always gives me pause when I see someone like this who's talented, who's got an interesting concept, and who's never done this before, because the question becomes, what is it that's prevented you from doing this? There's tons of things, but at the end of the day, as everyone on this call knows, the core part of you that does this stuff is here. Doesn't matter what your parents say, doesn't matter what your friends say, doesn't matter what I say. The core part of you getting up every day to try to do this, again, all or nothing, right? You do this stuff, you have no guarantee you're going to have success. So you're putting a lot of stuff into it. You're spending money on your own. You're doing things on it for nothing. But the reason you do it is because you can't imagine living and not doing it. So I always wonder about stuff like that. I'm not gonna lie, and I guarantee you, any publisher is gonna wonder. So they're gonna look at that and think like, wait a minute, this person's good. This concept was really clever, and they've never done this before. Why? Like, why the hell have they not done it before? So Sweeper, interesting concept, very interesting concept. I'm really intrigued. Would have liked to have seen more. 50-50 here as to whether or not I believe the creator can actually pull this off, because I think the creator's got the talent. I don't see any impetus of the creator to actually even demonstrate that they have tried to do something like this in the past. And I'm also curious to know what the Sweeper looks like. I'd like to know what the Sweeper looks like, and that artwork is not, I believe, present in their portfolio on their Instagram. Anyway, with that being said, definitely something we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to make a decision on it tonight. Next up is another comic here. I'm going to let Chris Burns read this entry. And Chris, I know I'm going to post some more here, Chris, and I know you, so let me try to let everybody know here that I suspect Chris will probably get a little excited here, but don't, Chris. It's just artwork, okay? All right, go ahead, Chris. Read the entry.
Okay. What is? Hold on, sorry. My computer's
All that set up, and Chris.
I'm sorry.
He's like, oh wait, where am I at? He's like,
my windows got weird. What is the pitch for this one?
It's right after the one from the last guy.
I think my thing. I don't know if my spreadsheet is like messed up. Is it the?
It's the one that's I Shall 21 meets Blood Bowl. Do you see that?
Yeah, my thing is out of order. So let me. You said meets Blood Bowl.
Mm-hmm. I Shall 21. Let's do it. We can get someone else to read it then. So who hasn't read yet? Oscar, you want to read? Go ahead, Oscar.
I would read if I knew which number we were talking about.
I can do it.
No, you said 21, right?
I swear, man. Yeah, I Should 21.
21 or 20? 21, right?
Mine says Black Clover.
What other eye shield is there? What? Go ahead. Val, read it.
I'm professional.
I'm sort of looking at it like this is not hard, but somehow this is turning into be very hard. But go ahead.
All right. Their elevator pitch was Eye Shield 21 meets Blood Bowl. And their quick little synopsis for their story was in this world, humans live alongside magical fantasy races like elves, orcs, and dwarves. And their favorite pastime is American football. Leon, a high school sophomore, Leon, a high school sophomore, competes with his team against an all-orc school. Everyone on Leon's team wants to quit. The orcs clearly have an advantage. They're stronger, faster, and more brutal than any human. But Leon doesn't believe in giving up.
There you go. Now, that's what you call reading right there. That's professional reading, ladies and gentlemen.
What can I say? I'm literate.
And folks, 9 out of 10 publishers will tell you that literacy matters. All right. Well, then, why don't we go? So, gentlemen, were you able to find it?
It was number 9 for me.
Well, okay, but you found it. So, so can you pull it? You see it now?
Yep.
Give us your thoughts as to what you thought about it. Then, so you go first. What did you make of this concept?
So, So I think it's interesting. Definitely the classic kind of underdog tale of like, the main hero is rising against the odds, whatever they may be. I personally have not seen a football inspired, like American football inspired story before. I could be, just out of the loop, but um I don't know. I think it's I'm not a big football guy myself, so it's weird for me to kind of imagine like how it looks, how it would tell, like, and how the fantasy element would play. Because after a while, obviously, even though the orcs are an issue, like, are all the teams that are opposing, like, are they all orcs, or are there going to be other races that play a part in this main character's trial of this? And that's what I think I would look for, some diversity in that sense of once the orcs get beaten, like, who else is there that's better than them, or maybe more strategic or something.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. What about you, Oscar?
Well, I love me some fantasy football, and not the kind with the drafting. Uh, I imagine it would be playing on like the different aspects of like the physiology of different races, like the other monsters, demons, and how those factor into the game of football. I have no idea about the rules of football, but I think it would be pretty interesting to see how that turns out.
All right, Jackie.
Yeah, so I don't really have a whole lot to add to what everyone else said, but I will say that having fantasy creatures and combining that with a story of a football game, I think that's really cool. It sounds fun, and I especially like that we have a purpose with the main character. The main character has a goal. They have something that we can root for. I think that's so essential for a good story, is that you were able to empathize with the main character and root for them, because I feel like a lot of stories that aren't good, they're going to have lackluster characters that you don't really feel a connection to, and you don't care what happens to them. If something bad happens to them, you just don't care, and that's a problem as a storyteller. If your audience doesn't care enough about your characters, then you probably don't have a good enough goal or a motivation for your character. So I think the story's fun. Is a fun idea. I think the artist draws really well. They're very talented, and I would like to see their comic.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I'm trying to gear things up for this next one here. So this, by the way, the story is called Magical Fantasy Football, so it's very on the nose. Magical Fantasy Football, and it is uh look, I don't know what Blood Bowl is, so this is the first time I'm lost. I know what Dig Dug was, and I know Berserk is, and Kill Bill, and Promise Neverland, Warcraft. I have no idea what Blood Bowl is. So maybe you guys know, you can inform me, but I do not know what Blood Bowl is. That being said, I certainly know what Aisha 21. Aisha 21 was fantastic. I think that's a great manga. It's got some problems, to be fair. It's got some definite problems. Aisha 21, one of the first works from Murata-san. If you guys know Murata Sensei, Murata-san, who does the artwork for One Punch Man, God tier art. He was God tier art during Aisha 21. That was a huge hit for him. And the writer of Aisha 21, because that was one of the rare teams that exists in manga, the writer of Aisha 21 is the writer of Dr. Stone, just as a little trivia for you. But regardless, yeah, listen, great. It was a great manga, and I just looked up Blood Bowl. I guess it's some fantasy, game that was about, fighting game or sports game, played with the mat and pieces and stuff. But basically, humans versus orcs. So very, very similar to what the pitch here is, where humans, are fighting with this fantasy races, in this competitive football team. This is probably the weakest one for me. If I'm being honest, this is the weakest one for me. I don't see this getting my vote, for a couple of reasons. One, the concept seems novel until, again, you read Blood Bowl and you say, oh, that actually is literally the concept of this game that they're basing it on. So it's not like it's inspired by and has like some deviations. It's almost identical. The only thing that's different here is that you've got the concept just has a school setting with it, but there's nothing there's nothing unique about the school setting that allows us to see this great context as to the something unique that can come out of the story because it's set in school. It's like saying, you know, I've got to. I mean, this is not quite the same, but it does remind me years ago we got pitched this young man who was really interesting young man, but he had pitched us basically on this concept he had. It was basically Dragon Ball. And when I remember saying, you know, I remember we told him, we said, like, so this is literally Dragon Ball. And he's like, yeah, it's Dragon Ball, but cooler. And it's like, what do you do with that? I mean, it's literally Dragon Ball. And their admission to us is, yeah, but what's different is that it's cooler. And that's what this seems like. It's just, this is basically this game this one person liked. And he just said, yeah, but it's set in a school. It's like, well, that's not a twist. There's nothing unique about it. The other part with it is that this artist, I think, who's really talented, this artist is really fantastic. I don't see with this artist, though, based on the other art that I've seen this artist have, I just don't see enough to think this artist could pull off a high capacity, high contact football match and a story. And so that's a concern. When I look at this artist's work, I can see the level of dexterity of that type of energy happening to pull that off. Now, maybe the twist, and he should have said this was the case. If the twist was that, you know, these are female characters, some of that nature, then maybe. But even then, I wouldn't necessarily go along with it. But still, I think that what I see in this person's art, from what is available to view, there's just not enough here for me to make that leap that they can deliver a sequential story that features all the things that a football story would have to really depict the action and the physical altercations. And I felt the concept just wasn't unique enough. So again, this probably will not get my vote. I'm just being very blunt about that. But again, hats off to the same person for making it this far. All right, so the final entry here, I'm going to let, let's see, Chris, are you ready this time? You think you got it this time, buddy? No? You don't want to risk it?
I don't trust these numbers.
It's a different list. That's why.
Well, I was going to say, I'm like, I assume you all were looking at the same one, but okay. Well, tell you what, I'll go ahead and do it just because we're running out of time here and I want to spend a lot of time going through. We still got 2 more entries after this to reveal to everybody. This is called Blood Chain. Blood Chain. I was really hoping that Oscar would read it because I want to hear him say Blood Chain. Blood Chain. And it's Black Clover meets Demon Slayer. So you don't get much more fantasy than that, folks. Black Clover meets Demon Slayer. You know, that's like saying it's Superman meets Superboy. And the concept here is, in a world where magic is a hefty bounty, young Cindy Stein points for that name, which I find horrible. Cindy Stein makes a living selling magic charms, but her quiet life is shattered when bounty hunters kill her family. Her little brother Eric is the only survivor, but he has been put under a deadly curse. Cindy's on a dangerous journey to find a way to return her brother to normal, and it's for the people that ruin her life. This literally is Demon Slayer. That's literally Demon Slayer, but you know, it's Demon Slayer, folks. But you know, I would like to hear what everyone else thinks. So I'm going to pull up this person's art. This person is a wonderful artist. We've seen him many times. He's really talented. He's a very clever young man. So I definitely want to get this out here. I'm going to post this here. But meanwhile, I'm going to go to you while I'm pulling this up here so I can show this off. I'm going to go to you. Val, why don't you tell us your thoughts on this, please?
I was gonna say I quite agree. It felt a little on the nose, and by a little I mean a lot. It's like you could just switch out 2 or 3 words and it would just be Demon Slayer when we see the pitch.
Yeah.
If they were to make it to the actual like interview stage, I feel like there would have to be some hefty changes. Maybe there's a twist we didn't see. You know, some sort of like added element that, because it just sounds like Demon Slayer. I don't hear a lot of the Black Clover element, if any.
Correct. No, that's actually that's a really good point. I mean, of all the things to emulate, if you're going to emulate it, it's like, well, then, you know, Black Clover, which is certainly not the most original manga itself, but if you're going to emulate it, at least pull some of the stuff from Black Clover out, which is fairly broad, and that's just not there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have any other comments before we move on?
I was just gonna say, I feel like again, if it made it to the interview stage, I feel like there need to be some big expectation subversion to kind of break it away from Demon Slayer, but switch a few words around.
I would agree. Yeah, totally agree. Oscar, talk to me.
Well, the pictures of like Black Clover meets Demon Slayer doesn't really clarify the overall summary of the story. Like even without them, I would still have the same feelings about the pitch. But I think what they're trying to set up here is like it's a little confusing because they set their characters up with like two different goals. One is to like save the brother and then also get revenge. So whether it becomes a situation of like they have to make a difficult choice of between the two, I think that probably that's something that comes up later in the story. But overall, it's coming a little bit weak. But I think it always depends on how they do the story. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
Okay. Chris Burns, what about you, young man?
I agree with what everybody has said so far. Definitely just kind of a little too close to Demon Slayer. There are ways that I'm thinking that it could be tweaked for it to be a definite combination of both and still have an original story, but definitely not for me to say. I definitely think the creators should study and definitely kind of tweak it. Yeah, that's all.
Jackie, what thoughts do you have for?
You know, when I first read the story pitch, I didn't think about it sounding a lot like Demon Slayer at all. Like I didn't, but now that I look over it and I reread it, it does sound a lot like Demon Slayer. Um, but I will say, when I first read it initially, I thought it was really cool. I really liked the idea of her having to deal with her brother having this curse, and her kind of wanting to get revenge on the people who just killed her family. I love a good revenge story, and I was really excited when I first heard about the story. So I really like it. And I think the artist is really talented. With everything that they did with March Art Madness, you could tell easily that they know how to color, they know how to line art, they know their anatomy, and their perspective is really good. So I think their comic will be a really good one. And if this artist does happen to move on with Saturday AM as like a regular series, I imagine, and if this specific comic is chosen for like the series, I would imagine it probably being tweaked to make it sound different for the story. But I think this is a good one shot comic idea.
So a couple of things. Yeah, so a couple of things here, and then we'll get to the final two titles that I had selected as being part of this. So let me say a couple of things. So first of all, this artist is very talented. We've seen him a number of times. He's seems like a really decent young man as well. So I mean, that's all there. Not really in question. They've been involved in stuff that we've done over the past as well. I think there was most recently in Summer of Manga. And I say young man, this person is older than nearly every other person that's entered into the tournament. Still much younger than me, like 20 some years, but nonetheless, very talented person, clearly. And I know that this person's interacted with a lot of our folks. And I know, Jack, I think you talked to him on a number of occasions. But folks, again, this is where publishing is publishing. This isn't a club. This isn't friendship time. This is publishing. And to me, it's unfortunate that this concept is so similar, because this person does have talent, and it doesn't make sense to me how, Jack, I'm going to be honest, Jack, I'm going to say this on both ends. It doesn't make sense to me how this person created this concept and thought to himself that this is not Demon Slayer identically. And it doesn't make sense to me, frankly, how you saw this and thought it wasn't Demon Slayer identically. So I'm kind of not enthused by either of those realities. The reality is that this is Demon Slayer. I don't care how you slice it, how you cut it. This is Demon Slayer. It's literally the plot of Demon Slayer. If you don't know that, then folks need to be more engaged with actually learning what we're doing as a business. Number two is that it's unfortunate because this person's got real talent. And so the point being is that, like, I mean, look, I thought the name was silly. I thought the Blood Chain name was just kind of standard 1990s, want to be cool stuff. Blood Scythe, Blood Dagger, Blood, Bloodborne, Blood, I thought that was cheesy. But then the Cinny Stein thing was, I don't know who the hell would name the kid Cinny Stein. So that's weird as well. But then you get to the fact it's just Demon Slayer. And that to me was just really unfortunate because, again, I think this artist has a lot of talent. Same deal applies as I believe the artist was Milk Dimension here. I've seen this artist. This artist is really cool. This artist has been a fan of Saturn for some time, and I'm a big fan of this artist's capabilities. But I run a business. I don't run a fan club. So my personally liking somebody, being an interesting person, does not affect how I do my business. And from that standpoint, I have the same concerns I had with the other person, Milk Dimension, who also is a big fan of ours, been around for a long time. When you're this old and you've never attempted this before, my first thought is, why have you never attempted this before? You clearly have the talent. Why have you never tried to do this before? And number two, when you're doing this and what you're doing is literally taking the idea that already exists, then it makes me question stuff, as any person looking to bring someone into an organization would do. So I don't know if this gets my vote. We'll talk about this tonight. I don't know if this gets my vote. And here's what I would say to that is, number one, again, this is business, folks. This is business. So I don't care how nice people are to you. I don't care, all that stuff. This is not about how you treat people as people. This is how you treat potential talent within a company. And you either have something that is going to be something that we can use and something that we can develop, or you don't. And the idea that we take content that's not quite there and we then work with the creator to make it there, that also kind of smacks in the face of some of the people who maybe had great talent who didn't make it this far because their concept was ridiculous or was a ripoff. That just smacks in the face of that. Like, that's not our job to rewrite and reconstitute someone's work, even though, yes, we will push stuff in the right direction if we think it needs it. But it's not our job to try to reconstitute someone's work just because we really want to see that person succeed. Like, again, we do these events, and these events are open every year for people to continue to try until they get that right concept going. Again, there are also other platforms they can go to put their work out there. But when you've got a chance to put your foot in the door, you don't put your foot in the door and you got to take the advantage of the opportunity. You got to give your best effort across the board. And I don't think this concept, this name, this approach was it. The other thing I would say that I think is most likely a reality here, and probably a reality for a number of these people, including obviously a lot of the folks we didn't choose, and that is that I've said this repeatedly throughout Saturday AM, just because you can draw does not mean you're a comic book creator. That's a fundamental thing here. Just because you draw does not mean you're a comic book creator. There are folks who will spend their life doing comic books who have talent, but the reality is that their concepts, their ideas are nowhere near as good as they think they are. And that's just life. That's reality. And some creators realize this early on, and they look for writers because they understand that, you know what, I'm the pretty face. I'm not the brains. I'm the pretty face of this operation. So let me really make pretty stuff and make success that way. And then other people, they're determined to be like Kishimoto and George Lucas and Tite Kubo and so on and so forth. And the reality is that that's a very, very rare place to be in the world of comic books. Just because the most popular work you see in Japan are artists who've created their own works and they've had tremendous success. That's a rarity, folks. That's not the norm. That is not the norm. Okay? That's not the norm. White manga is not the norm. The norm, if you can get a career in comic books, is drawing stuff that you didn't create, and hopefully and drawing lots of stuff you didn't create to finally get something that you still maybe didn't create but became a success. Robert Kirkman is the star of the Walking Dead comic book franchise. Charlie Adler is the artist. He's set for life off of Walking Dead, but he didn't create Walking Dead. He wasn't even the first artist of Walking Dead, but he's set for life off the success of Walking Dead. He's set for life in the sense that if he wants to create a comic series now, people will actually take him seriously. He's not the most, I don't think anyone would say he's the most dynamic artist or anything of that nature. He's not, but he's competent, he's capable, and he was able to lead a best-selling comic book franchise and continues to make money on those books for the rest of his life. But he possibly won't be remembered the way that Kotaro Miura was or George Perez was. And that's the nature of comics, folks. It's a zero-sum game. You can put everything into it and get nothing in return. So again, I look at this artist and I know that he's a really nice guy. I look at this artist and I think, man, he's super talented too. But I look at this artist and I think, but again, like we're not in the business of because you're a nice guy, we publish a comic. That's not what we do. We're in the business of do you actually deserve to be here as a comic book artist? And again, that may be that you need to be here as an artist drawing someone's work, but not creating your own content, especially if this is what you came up with and it's just a rehash of Demon Slayer. And same thing with the other person that basically took the Blood Bowl concept, which I didn't even know existed, and it's like I want to do this, but set it in a school. Like that's not creativity, folks. It's not creativity. So with that being said, of course, again, this person is very talented. There's no question of that. But again, I'm very doubtful it's going to get my vote. But so with that being said, let us real quickly talk about the entries that are chosen. They will be making it to the next round. We'll actually discuss their work with them, and hopefully they'll end up becoming part of our group. The first up is a creator from the who's based in the United Kingdom. They're Vietnamese by ethnicity, a bit by their place of birth. I believe is Vietnam. Their concept is King Arthur meets Vietnamese mythology. It's the concept is called Sword, and it's deep under a mythical lake. A lone woman is facing an almighty god to retrieve a legendary sword. The arrogant god, however, deems her unworthy of fighting him, as she is merely a woman. So this is obviously a adventure take. It's the Lady in the Lake concept. It's got some Vietnamese mythology built in here and so forth. And why did it stand out to us? Because this artist we saw in March Art Madness, very talented artist, very creative artist. Big thing here as well is that they're actually bringing some diversity to the mix. They're actually looking to bring some things in here that you've never seen before. I cannot tell you anything about Vietnamese mythology. I bet a lot of them couldn't either. So they're bringing this in. They're mixing it with some King Arthur stuff. They're giving us an adventure fantasy, and we're going to see probably some things we've never seen before. And that's what made us intrigued by this work and wanted to see more from this creator. So it doesn't mean it's in the Summer of Manga just yet. We got to talk to this creator, but this is a title that we thought, you know what, this doesn't require a discussion. We want to take it directly to the next round and talk to the creator and see if everything works out the way we think it is. And then this will be a title you'll see for Summer of Manga. So we got 6 of these that we pre-chose. We'll reveal all 6 of them in these 3 episodes, 2 tonight, 2 in the next episode, and 2 in the final episode. Real quickly, thoughts about Sword from Piggy Hammer. Start with Val.
All right. So what I would like to say is I really like the idea of bringing in mythology from a culture, obviously, that you're a part of, because then you can speak from it or speak about it in a truer sense rather than kind of like hashing it out for an aesthetic. I feel like this has really good potential for one shot. And I mean, seeing how everything goes this summer, I could see longevity, whenever it comes to telling a story and kind of seeing this woman's journey.
Agreed. I agree. Chris Burns.
I think this is really cool. I grew up with a lot of Vietnamese people, and I actually recently just had a talk with some of them, basically saying how they don't have a lot of representation in manga, and what are like some ways to kind of do that. And it's kind of funny because now I'm seeing this, and it's just like, wow, like if this does well and is created, now I have something to send them and be like, guys, check this out, like it's happening. But no, I think it's awesome. Art, amazing. The concept I think is really good. I love medieval stuff too, so I'm excited to see how that meshes, like the King Arthur stuff meshes with Vietnamese mythology and culture. I think it has potential to be very, very fresh, very fresh.
Agreed. What about you, Jackie?
Yeah, so I thought her pitch was really interesting, like you guys are saying. The idea of King Arthur is very like it's a very I believe it's like a Western European mythology, but I didn't even know that you could have like a Vietnamese spin on it. So like I didn't know that was a thing. So that alone catches my interest right away. I also like her idea of, she's having to deal with a god, and the god looks down on her because she's a woman. Like that just kind of sets a fire in my my core, like, oh, prove them wrong, prove them wrong, you know. So it's like I want to see this story, I want to see this comic, and I know this artist is very talented and they could definitely pull it off. So I think this is an excellent pitch.
All right, and last but not least, Oscar, what do you make of this?
Well, I was going to say one thing. I don't quite know how to feel about the title because it's just sword, but
Yeah,
perhaps
it's
it's
the
more to that
biggest
meet.
part that about it. Yeah,
There's probably more to the story than meets the title itself. The pitch is really short and simple. I love that. Um, I don't know. I'd like to see what they bring to the story with the Vietnamese mythology. It's, I mean, because it is a little bit short, I'm not quite sure what else to expect from it apart from what everyone else has said. So yeah, this is definitely one story to look forward to.
agreed, agreed. All right, so then the last entry here is an entry called a second here. It is, man, I just had it. Sorry, folks. Hold on, I just had it. What happened to it? Sorry, guys. I thought I had it and I messed it all up. Let's see here. Where is that thing? Yeah, so going forward with these episodes, Jackie, it's be best to sure you get the name of the work in there.
Okay,
Um,
I'll make sure to add that in.
yeah, it's all good. So let's see here. All right. It is. Huh, is it?
Do you have the list open? You're having trouble opening it?
I don't yeah, I had to find it. I had to find it because there's
Oh,
obviously the master list is what's that. Wolves Bane. It's called Wolves Bane, and it's from this talented young artist here. And I'm going to read you the concept here. Wolves Bane is Bungo Stray Dogs meets the Gray Man. During the turn of the 20th century, London saw an increase in supernatural phenomena. Witches, werewolves, vampires, all emerged from the shadows and began making their presence known. Lloyd, a novice detective in a supernatural detective agency, takes on the case to unravel the mystery behind the rise of the supernatural. Together with a dedicated team of detectives, Lloyd leads the investigation of the prime suspect, his own mother. However, the team does not have much time. But the second full moon, due to a bite he received from his mother, Lloyd will also become a full-fledged werewolf. Now must find his mother and lift the curse before time runs out. You guys can see here, just artistically, and obviously, if you look at this other work from this artist has talent. This artist is capable of doing a lot of fun stuff. They're very talented. They're very capable. I was nervous when I saw the Gray Man piece in it. Obviously, this is a piece of fan art of the Gray Man. The Gray Man, to me, is one of the most beautiful looking manga I think I've ever seen, with one of the most incomprehensibly lame plots I think I've ever read. It just doesn't, to me, it's not a great series, but it's beautiful to look at. I mean, just absolutely beautiful to look at. And so I'm always I'm always dubious when someone mentions the Gray Man. So I don't think that work is particularly profound, but this got me because this had what we've talked about all night tonight. Had an interesting setup, right? Detective agency, they're hunting supernatural stuff. There's nothing new about that. Add to it, the character is a supernatural character, also not necessarily new, but in this case, he's cursed, and he's got to try to lift the curse and try to save his mother. I think that made me more intrigued by it because there was some real thought and some real energy put into having a story where even though you got this interesting world, they went a different place with it, and clearly tried to go a different place with it, which I think is the most important part of this conversation. Um, Oscar, what do you make of this?
Well, I'm a sucker for fantasy detective stories, so I pretty much loved it when I read this pitch. I especially like this sort of like there's like this precedent over having to solve this mystery, especially when there's family involved. So I think that does add to more of the suspense of the story. Uh, I guess overall it does also it also tries to establish like there's this whole world with like other vampires and other creatures in it, but in fact, it does feel like this pitch could focus on werewolves, but I don't know. Overall, it does sound pretty good. for especially for a one shot, because they're on a time limit before he turns into a werewolf. Yes.
Yes, that's right. Yes. What about you, Chris Burns?
I think this is cool. Immediately after reading it, it reminded me of the scene of Ghostbusters when all of the ghost kind of escaped that one point and all like basically hell broke loose and everything. But it also reminded me of Van Helsing as well, like combination of both. So I think that's really cool. I kind of got that imagery of like there's this main character and all this stuff is happening with like like what it was paranormal stuff, and then like you look at his arm and there's like a mark and it's like time's running out. You got to figure it out. I think it has potential in terms of like that concept and stuff. So I'm excited to see kind of how visually how would they draw it and convey it to give it that kind of dark mystery detective feel.
And you, so you remember the Ghostbusters movies, the original you're talking about, right?
Yes, yeah, not the new ones, the OG ones.
Got it. But you don't know Dig Dug. It's Chris, right?
Wait, what?
You don't know Dig Dug, but you know Ghostbusters. I'm just taking.
Yep.
Just taking some notes. Chris Burns. Okay. All right. You're on my list, Chris. Let's see here. Jackie, what about you?
So the first thing I noticed about this story is that it sounds a lot like uh Yellow Stringer. It's a detective agency and they're dealing with
Eh,
supernatural. So like I kind of thought they were, trying to go for a similar
I
story
just,
like that, but I mean
just,
it
I mean,
has.
to be fair, it's not. I mean, Yellow Stringer is they work in a newspaper. They're journalists,
Mhm.
and this is an actual detective agency. At least what they describe it to be. So
Oh,
it is different. I know what you're getting at,
yeah.
but it is different. And certainly the two characters aren't supernatural in Yellow Stringer. But yeah.
Yeah. But I do like the twist at the end that they did where he's he's bit and he's going to turn into a werewolf. So there's a time element there and he has to find his mother quickly. So I think that would be interesting to see how that wraps up at the end. I think this artist is
Mhm.
very talented. He's
Yeah.
probably, in my opinion, one of the strongest ones we have on this list. Yeah, I think this would be a cool comic idea to read for sure.
All right. And last but not least, I believe Val, the floor is yours.
All right, all right. I love Bungo Stray Dogs. I just had to say that. My brain like shut down for a split second when I read that. But this is a perfect example of taking inspiration from a series and adding a twist. The werewolf thing, the transformation, the full moon, like those just scream Bungo Stray Dogs. But the concept itself just
Oh,
is
interesting.
both something that's existed before, but it's also so like refreshing that when I read the pitch, like the synopsis originally, I was like, I can already imagine this. I can already see the characters, like I can already see how this can go, how like the twists and turns, the surprises. I only have one minor concern, and it's how are you going to fit this premise into a one shot? Because I like it. I really enjoy this concept. It's just since it is like investigation and mystery, and like there's a hard deadline for this character. Like, how are you going to build the suspense and execute the story in 10 to 15 pages?
That's fair. That is fair. I mean, that's obviously the challenge that we'll address when we discuss things. But no, there's no question. That's a fair point. It's a very fair point. Okay, all right. I think we're at the time now, folks. We presented for you tonight not six. I think it was 7 entries. 5 entries that we reviewed, and 2 entries that are through to the next round. We're going to select 2 people out of the 5. So there are 2 artists out of the 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this screen up here, and I'm going to do a big slideshow here. And all right, so the first one was called Duddy Comics, or I'm sorry, it's Hallowed from Duddy Comics. This concept was essentially a magic school where the kids who wish to be mages want to go to school like Harry Potter, but when they get there, they come to find out it's not really a school, it's a prison, and they are using these children to siphon their magical energy into a big military weapon. I thought this probably, for me, was probably the best concept. Not the best art, but the best concept. And I think this artist is capable potentially of telling the story. It certainly is complex a story. It's got some concerns about pacing with the short story version of it, But nonetheless, I think that this was, for me, the best concept that I heard tonight. This gets my vote to move to the next round. Chris Burns, what about you?
This definitely gets my vote too. Like I said originally, I'm the older I've gotten, the more I like the darker type stuff with stories and how things can switch just like that in the first episode, and you're like, oh man, like what's gonna happen? So I definitely this definitely gets my vote.
All right, Oscar Phone, get your vote.
I'd say this one gets my vote too, particularly because they did add the pitch that it is related with like Warcraft, and I want to see if they want to add more of that, that magical, the technical magic aspects into the story, and being able to and use that to like survive the dungeon. So I think this one, yeah, this one's definitely got my vote.
All right, what about you, Val?
I forgot how many yeses and nos do we get?
We're voting. We'll be voting for 2 properties to go to the next round.
Right. All right. Just double checking. Yeah. For pitch, like in the synopsis, this gets my yes.
You want to see us go to the next round?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And Jackie.
Just letting you know, I am writing down your guys' votes as we're going through these. I too will give this my vote. I think it's a good story idea and the art is decent, and I think this artist could really improve if they had more, more practice and they learn more. So I'm giving my vote.
All right. So next up is Niku Sui. Niku Sui. This is a concept, basically an assassin piece. It's got a great artist. It's an assassin piece, but in terms of the uniqueness of the plot, it's not quite there. But the artwork is this is probably the best artist I think that we've seen tonight. At least in my opinion, is probably the best artist. We'll go down the list again. So Jack, we'll start with you. Let's get your vote to go to the next round.
Let me see. I'm just looking. I will say, nah. There,
Let me
there
make
was,
this point.
there was another one that I liked. I think a little bit more. So I don't think I would give this one my vote.
Okay, let me make this point real quickly for you guys and for those of you who are watching this at home. And by the way, folks, thank you. If you've stayed here this whole time, thank you. God bless you. Don't know what the hell you guys wanted to stay here for because this was a mess. But either way, thank you for hanging out with us. Chris Burns, and he dressed up tonight for this, so at least he made his day. And Oscar, obviously, Oscar doesn't do anything but wear his hat. So there you go. But I want to give you guys a little bit of how this is going to work tonight. So we're choosing the folks in our vote tonight, and this is permanent, that will go to the next round, meaning these other 3 folks are ostensibly out. Now, what's going to happen is that we'll take a final vote tonight after we vote for the 2 that we think deserve to go to the next round, and we will vote to whether or not we think that individual should go to a second thing that'll be up to you guys. And that'll be a scenario where then you folks will be able to vote for your fave. Or I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll tell you what we do. We won't even do that. We'll just take everyone who doesn't get chosen by us tonight. They will go into a final thing that'll happen after we do our final episode, which will be episode 3. And that'll be up to you guys. We're going to basically do a fan vote. And the fan vote, you guys will vote. You guys will vote, and your vote will count. And if you guys say, you know what, I agree. Maybe I agree, maybe I didn't agree with what Fred and the judges said about this piece of content. I really think this artist deserves to go to the next. Deserves to do something, and I want to see this artist do something. So I'm going to vote for this artist to get through on the fan vote thing, and we're going to pick one entry that'll come from the fan vote that'll also be not serialized, but run this summer as a part of Summer of Manga. So there'll be potentially 12 titles that we will choose to run as part of Summer of Manga, potentially 12. And there'll be a 13th, not a lucky number, but 13th that you all will choose, and they'll come from all of these things that we do. It'll come from these folks. Whoever doesn't make it into round 2 from our votes will then go into a big pot, and you guys will be able to vote on them in the next round. So we'll talk more about that later, but do keep in mind if someone doesn't get the vote tonight, that does not mean that they may not pop up in Summer of Manga. You can change that, and we're excited about the idea of you guys getting a vote on that. So, with that being said, Niku Sui by JP Footballs. By the way, my favorite name of an artist, JP Footballs. Simple, simple. They didn't overthink it. They kept it simple. JP Footballs. Um, Oscar, Jackie says no to this. What about you, Oscar?
I actually want to take a gamble and say yes on this. I know the pitch was kind of long, but I feel like they could have also shortened it to sort of exemplify the kind of story they wanted to tell. Um, Again, it is going to be a bit hard to tell what kind of how they're going to present this story once it goes on to if it gets into 7 a.m. But it's really tricky to tell. So I'm going to bet that this could do quite well.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Chris, what about you?
Oh man, this is a tough one for me because like I said, I love that dark, gory stuff, and I have a feeling that this could be just that, like that, just very, just oh man, just I see the sword, I can see her just chopping people's heads off.
You
Um,
told me in the past that you enjoy watching people get killed. So yeah.
I mean, I don't talk about that. I am also going to vote yes on this one. It was a tie between the sweeper, but I have a feeling that this, if done right, could be just what I'm looking for.
All right, Val, what about you?
Chris is just trying to get his sick kicks. Oh, no, I'm joking. Uh, uh, for me, it's a matter of the experience of art style versus the experience of being able to tell a story in a way that's both captivating and interesting. And it's an interesting concept. I just don't know how it'll be actually done. So for me, it's gonna have to be a no.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think this artist is, again, I think probably the best artist in the group. There's still plenty of things to see from this artist what they're capable of doing, and they very well may get the fan vote to appear in the thing next. I think this artist clearly has talent. I'm with everything you just said. Like I said, I didn't think the concept was that interesting. I didn't think there was anything unique about the concept. And again, we're in the business of publishing entertainment. So I wish this artist was associated with something. I would look had this artist. I mean, I'm kind of putting my vote out there. But had this artist been associated with the sweeper, I'd have been like, done. Great concept, tough, dope looking artwork, but the Kill Bill Sakamoto days, and there's nothing to suggest there's anything clever about that concept, or at least their approach to the concept. Then that really worked for me. So my dog was getting near my book. I'm like, don't ruin my book. So yeah. So for me, this is a no as well. Even though I think this artist is super talented, which then brings us to the sweeper. This does get my vote. I mean, again, do I think that Milk Dimension is the best artist in the group? No, I don't. They're talented. I think they've got great talent. I'm concerned that they haven't produced content in all this time, considering how old they are. But the concept to me is just really, really great, and I think that I'm just really curious to see. I think the concept for me hits all the right buttons on it. So I am down with the sweeper as my choice for the second title to move on to the next round.
Fred,
Yeah,
I just wanted to
that
ask really quick. So that last vote, the only one to vote for JP Footballs was Oscar. No one else voted. I didn't know what Chris.
no JP and Chris. No, Oscar and
Chris.
Chris voted for Niku Sui.
Oh, okay. Chris did too.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the three of us didn't. So the sweeper. I'm putting my vote in for the sweeper. So Val, what about you?
For me, it's a yes. Like what you said, I feel like this is a very captivating concept. They'll just really have to show us like some serious, take it seriously when it comes to actually drawing the panels. Because I like this concept. I don't want to see it, kind of fall apart when it comes to actually making pages.
Agreed. Totally agree. Totally agree. Chris, what about you? Well, Chris, never mind. You've already given your choice, Chris. You chose blood. Oscar, you've also chosen blood. What about you, Jackie?
I will have to. Oops. I'm gonna
Hello.
have to say no. Just because I feel like the pitch, although I love the pitch and how unique it was, it didn't give me a whole lot of info about the story. It just said that he was a sweeper battling monsters. Like, what else is there? Is that it? Is he just going to fight monsters? Because if that's all it is, then I feel like maybe not. But I think this artist is very, very talented, so I will give him that.
Yeah, listen, I think that's very fair. Well, I mean, look, it's all subjective, right? But I think that's a fair criticism. I would argue, and obviously I'm sure Val would chime in as well, and she certainly can, that I don't think it's quite as simplistic as that, right? Like, I don't think that's nearly as simplistic as that. When the reality is that the concept here is a chimney sweeper who goes to sweep chimneys, who fights monsters. In other words, there's the implication being is that what's causing, the things that live in your chimney, and anyone who's got a house and has a chimney has a fireplace knows what this is about, that there are things in there. And so he actually goes in there to fight those things. I think that's actually quite brilliant of a concept. I think it's a huge twist. But in terms of like, did he go into detail about, oh, hey, but he's also going to turn out that he's pregnant, or he's got, he's married to a demon, or he's got this or got that. No, I mean, he didn't necessarily get into those things, but I think the concept was clever, certainly more clever than I think you maybe giving it credit for. But that said, though, was there more that could have been said? Absolutely. So that's going to be the challenge with it. So I'm on for it. Val is on for it, and it appears to be, let's see here. It appears as if, so then that's it. That's it. So it's only two people for that. Two people for Niku. Did somebody else vote? Oscar, did you vote for it? No.
Or Niku Sui?
No, you did for Niku Sui, yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. So
I
then,
have
there's two
the votes right
sweep.
here.
Well, I've got it. I'm
Okay.
taking them down too. So there's two for sweeper. There's two for Niku Sui. So then this now becomes the issue then, because then Jackie, I'm assuming what you voted for was Blood Chain.
No.
What did you vote for?
I voted for the
I know you voted for Hallowed.
I voted for EJ Comics.
Magical fantasy football.
Yeah, I wanted to see that comic because I think it was going to be really fun, and I like the art style. So
fair enough. All right. Well, so folks, we got a dilemma, folks. So we've got one entry that made it through. We've got two entries that had 2 votes each. One entry didn't have any votes, which was unfortunately Blood Chain from our friend Run Up Comics, and then one entry that had 1 vote. So here's what we're gonna do. Hallowed will move on to the next round, and Niku Sui and the Sweeper then will be the 2 entries from this group that will go into the fan vote portion, because we do need to try to see if we can get that through. So we'll put that in that scenario, and go from there, because the plan was to get 2 entries out. I don't know. Actually, we didn't think about this, but we didn't think this through all the way. Because I was expecting it to be this type of split.
yeah, because we have
I didn't want.
Oh, go ahead, Val.
I was gonna say I didn't want to overstep my boundaries, but can I plead my case to you, Jackie, for voting for Sweeper?
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, like, because there's 2 ways to do this. One way is you just you leave it up to the fans, and that just means now that it's going to be more chaotic for the fans to choose.
Mm.
Because the idea was to get 2 entries every night. So we got 2 entries we chose. There'll be 2 other entries that come from this, and then fans get to choose the remaining portion. I would say that this is a situation where where there's got to be 2 that come out tonight. That's one way to do it. To say, look, if you're part of something that only got 1 vote, then you're gonna have to put your vote to something else then, because the reality is that there have been 2 series that clearly touched the nerve amongst the judges, and therefore there should be the ability to say, look, one of these to go through so we can get on with this.
Okay.
So I'll tell you what.
I could change my vote if
it's
between.
Okay, yeah, well, that's what we're gonna do. But before you do that, though, so you are gonna change your vote. Yeah, but here's what we're gonna do. Though we're gonna do. You try to make it a little entertaining, even though we need to wrap this thing up here. We're gonna do the following. I'm gonna nominate Val.
Yay.
To give her pitch to you for the Sweeper, and I'm gonna nominate Chris Burns. What's the Niku creator's name? Does anybody know what their name is?
JP Football.
JP Football. JP Football, if you're watching this, I apologize. But Chris Burns has your future in his hands.
I was gonna
Hit
say,
battle!
was she not ready for this?
So Jackie, they're gonna woo you, Jackie. So let the wooing begin.
Okay.
Chris called you. I know you're probably you're like, oh God, I'm on the spot. So you're having to see about what you can do to get yourself prepped and everything. So I'm gonna let Val go first. Okay. When I come to you, Chris, you better have something ready to go here.
Okay. My vote is dependent on your guys' pitch. So.
All right.
Okay.
Floor is yours, Val.
Okay. So, Jackie, you already know this, but I live by the idea of expectation subversion and the idea of fantastical versus mundane concepts. Sweeper has it all. I might be projecting a little bit, but I don't care. I love the idea of taking this mundane, just day in, day out job of being a chimney sweep, but putting a twist on it. It's like Fahrenheit 451. The firefighters don't fight fires; they cause the fires. Like Fire Force, they're not technically putting out the fires. They have like the fire powers, right? Who doesn't love a good expectation subversion concept, right? I see so much potential for like soot monsters, a main character who's disillusioned to the job, like, okay, time to go to work and kill some demons for my living. All right, let's go. Mm-hmm. I just feel like there's so much potential that can go along with this story, and it can give it a nice like mix of like gore and fighting scenes, but also be comedic, you know? Who doesn't love comedy and blood, right?
Mm-hmm. Fair. Very fair point.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're
That
gonna have it tough, Chris. That was a really good pitch.
That was a snow moment, ladies and gentlemen. That took my breath away. My dog was laying down asleep right now. She's scratching her butt, but he looked up at me. She was like,
"What can I say? I'm a saleswoman at heart."
Yeah, she was like, I want to read the sweeper now. I don't even know how to read. All right, well, Val, as good as that was, you're up against Chris Burns. And
we'll see.
Oh.
I mean, when Chris throws his hands out like that, Val, that's you. I mean, you're cruising for a bruising. Chris Burns, let's not belay. Let's just get right into it. And Oscar, because I know Chris is just magnetic. I want you to know that if you feel the need, if you feel like it's important for you to pipe it at the end and maybe offer like a word or two to add to Chris's comment for Jackie's vote, I'm going to let you do it, buddy, because I know that the two of you combined are like Voltron. And by that, I mean not. So go ahead, Chris Burns.
So I'm not coming in here with big words and fancy things to say like a certain frog. I'm here to give you some visuals because at the end of the day, visuals is what matters. So imagine this: you had a long day at work.
Hats off that beginning. I gotta say right now, hats off that beginning. Like, I'm not gonna try to woo you with big words, okay? All right, I'll leave that to Val and her talkity talk, okay? I'm here to give you pictures, just pictures. That's all I'm gonna do here, folks. Big words are for losers. That was Chris Burns' take on it. But go ahead, Chris.
So Jackie, you've had a long day, right? You know you've had a long day. You're tired. You've had just your boss is annoying you. What you're not feeling like a strong, empowered woman. Well, this story can make you feel that way. You know, this has swords. This woman's killing people, right? Things that we can't do in real life because of certain laws. So the way that this story can benefit you is you can live out your hatred for Fred through this main character of her killing people, killing men. Oscar, help me out here.
Save you from that killing Fred. That's your bitch.
Chris, I just want to say to you right now, Chris, hats off to you, sir. Look, Chris, I'm almost tempted to switch my vote, Chris.
Hey,
I want to change my vote too.
Amazing. That was amazing. Go ahead, Oscar.
What was I supposed to be saying?
Oh no.
Wait, am I supposed to be?
Chris's pitch. Oh no.
Wait,
Oscar.
am I supposed to be pitching for Niku Sui or what?
You're supposed to
You're supposed to
back
up
Chris up.
Um,
I
I don't know who this man
think,
is. He just kind of came in here. I don't know
should have.
why.
Fred, you gotta save
I'm
Chris.
honestly thinking about changing my vote at this point.
Sorry,
The
I had to
thing
hop
is,
up.
Niku Sui has that potential to be something different, something unique, but as an initial pitch for a one shot, I don't think it can really win. So yeah, I didn't.
Mm.
So I think
Wow.
if it's appropriate, if it's possible, I think I would like to change my vote from Niku Sui
Oh
to the other
gosh,
one.
Oh,
man! Chris
oh,
Sweeper.
Burns
poor Chris.
brings the energy. Chris Burns brings the energy. He works in there a dig against me, which you guys know I love. He brings it, and you stab him in the back, Oscar.
I'm sorry, but again, we're really looking at the pitches that these creators made, and I can't determine my choices based on. Again, this is very hard and try. I wish I could have 3 votes, but
Yeah. Don't we all? But don't we all?
I
Oh
just want to say
man!
that
Well,
that content that just happened between me and Oscar could only be found in the one I'm voting for.
Oh man, Oscar, you're gonna get a
Oscar,
top
you're my new
2
I
for
wish
Chris.
first I had wished you could bring out the potential that I was not seeing in Nikusoi, but I just wasn't quite sure you brought it out. So I'm sorry.
wow.
I'm not sure how I could back you up.
I gotta
Jackie,
work on my pitch.
Jackie, all I can say here is that we don't at this point we don't need your vote, but do you want to switch your vote at this point? It is the
Um,
sweeper.
I mean, listen,
Are you,
just listening to
or do you want to go down
both of your
fighting for
pitch,
magic?
I'm gonna have to go with Val's. So
Sorry.
I'm sorry, Chris.
All right.
Yours was really good. It just didn't.
I don't even.
quite
Are you
convince me.
even following Val's Twitch? Are you a real supporter?
Don't look at my Twitch. Don't look at my Twitch.
Oh, ouch, Chris. You gonna lay the guilt on me? Oh man, that's dirty. Okay, Val, you got my vote.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, folks, I think we are. So that pretty much brings us to a close. Then, so just to put everything down that we've got, we have we had 2 entries that we are very proud to take to the next round. That is Sword by Piggy Hammer, and that is the Detective Supernatural. I forget the name of it. It's called Wolvesbane. It's a great name, by the way. Wolvesbane, by a young artist named Yum Ray from the United Kingdom. I think he's from both of them are from the United Kingdom. So that's cool. Both these titles will be immediately being reviewed by editors and being discussed with the creators to see if they can take it to the next stage and go ahead and get the page count and get produced for Summer of Manga. They'll be in the first couple of issues, the first issue, I mean. And then conversely, we've selected 2 titles from the remaining entries that we were all really happy with. They are Hallowed by Duddy Comics and The Sweeper from Milk Dimension. So, some really fantastic artists, JP Footballs, EJ Comics, and Drawn Up Comics, all 3 super talented. So, what we hope will happen is you guys will consider one of them to make it for the fan portion vote, which means it'll pop up in Summer Manga as well as powered by you, the fans. But with that being said, everybody, that's it. We're at the end of our showcase tonight. This went a little longer than anticipated, but we'll certainly try to streamline it for the next 2 episodes. I want to thank you all again for being with us this evening. I definitely want to thank Jackie for putting this whole thing on. She's a wonderful person. If you guys don't have a chance to know her on social media, I hope you'll give her Instagram handle a check out. Is JR Sketches. Is that it? Sketcher?
Yeah, JR Sketcher.
Yeah, JR Sketcher. Jackie's a wonderful person, and she will always be very kind with her time, telling you what's going on and give you her thoughts and opinions. So please support Jackie. Also, you can check out my co-artist, Oscar Fong, who helps me create Master Multiplayer World of Ghosts. He's at Fong Fu Master, and wonderfully talented artist. We've known Oscar for a number of years. We've got one of our newer folks who came from Summer Manga last year is Saren Ribbity, which is Val is how we know her, but she is incredibly talented, extremely organized, which is such a rarity in this thing, and really sweet as well. As you guys can see, got a great personality. Val, you can find her again on Instagram. Serendipity. She'll look like this little picture thing, but I've seen the real her. She doesn't look like this, So there you go. She looks more like a human being. And then Chris Burns, who this is his avatar. The Chris Burns that you might see normally doesn't look like this at all. He looks kind of like a cross between a manga character and an Ewok. But this is Chris Burns, his avatar that you're going to see here. And Chris is working on Chikara Word of God. You can read that fun series on our pilot manga website. Serendipity's series, The Otherworldly Travel Agency, runs a Saturday Brunch, which is our digital magazine and our app. And Master Multiple of the Ghost is both a series that runs on Saturday AM inside of our digital app, as well as an upcoming graphic novel that'll be coming out this September. Don't forget, you can get our graphic novels. Oh man, I'm having to lean down here and I don't have the stamina for that. But please pre-order our graphic novels here. You can see here again, let me turn off my filter here so you guys can get this. But please make sure you pre-order our books. We're so proud of these folks. We worked really hard over the past few years to get this deal done. So you can get these right now. Apple Black, Saigami, and Hammer are the first 3 graphic novels that will be available in just a few weeks. You can pre-order the books right now on your favorite websites. Just go to our website, go to the graphic novels page, and then choose the book, choose the location, and order it. As you do so, you can qualify for our trading cards. These are awesome. You get this pack of trading cards. You get many of them depending on how many books you pre-order, and they'll all come with several cards in the pack. Including one full card, which is a special card that's limited in nature. So you want to make sure that you do that. In fact, here's one of the full cards. You can see how pretty that is here. See how shiny that is?
Beautiful.
Really, really cool.
Mm.
Absolutely. And this is one of my favorite art. This is Oscar's art here. This is Imwog here. So really, really cool. Dayless Bond from Master of the Ghost. So, folks, please check this out. Now, one of the things, folks, that I just want to leave you guys with is Saturday AM and our purpose, and also why summer manga is so important, especially now. We create diverse manga, so we have creators and characters from all around the world, people for different orientations, people for different backgrounds, people for different religious beliefs, people from different nationalities, and we champion that. We believe that manga should be for everybody. That means that everybody should have a chance to see themselves or people like themselves in a manga. You don't have to be super thin. You don't have to have spiky hair. You don't have to have light skin. You don't have to have a Japanese name. You can still be the beautiful person. You can still be the bad guy. You can still be the good guy. You can be the hero. You can be the protagonist. You can be the most interesting character. All that's possible in Saturday AM, and that means we're a home for all the creators who want to create manga style content but aren't Japanese or not going to go to Japan anytime soon, and don't want to create series that just feature those types of characters. We are so committed to this. We have a How to Draw book coming out as well, which is right now number 1, or was number 1 just earlier this week on Amazon. We're super excited about this, and you can find this as soon as well. You can learn how to create your own diverse manga characters. The summer manga is important because we take creators from all over the world. They enter. If they've got a great pitch, then we give them a chance to get professionally reviewed by our editors, to be given a chance to be published. And this year, like last year, the best of those artists then end up getting a paid publishing contract for a graphic novel that we're coming out with this year called Saturday AM Annual. This will be an annual anthology book. It's basically Saturday AM on steroids, and we take brand new concepts, short story concepts, from some of the best creators who came from Summer of Manga. So last year, Summer of Manga, we had a creator from Ghana, a creator from America, and one other creator that was in there from last year that's in this book. The book, though, has 7 short stories in it. They're from 2 people from America, one's from the United Kingdom, one's from Ghana, one's from Nigeria, one's from Greece. So it's a really eclectic mix of amazing artists and talent. And we couldn't be more excited about that book and what we're going to be doing with that book for you fans and for these creators. Next year's book, not this year, but next year's Saturday Annual, will have people from this year's Summer of Manga in it, we hope. So this is a huge opportunity for people. This is a chance to go from having your work seen to now having a chance to have your work seen and be professionally published worldwide in a really cool manga anthology book. So we hope you'll take this seriously. We hope you'll appreciate the process that we're going through and making public for the first time. And we hope that you'll support all these wonderful people who took time out of their schedules to try to usher in the next creators who could be joining part of Saturday AM. So thank all of these folks. On my behalf, I want to thank all these folks. I also want to thank all of you guys for tuning in. And we will see you in the next episode. I'm sure you'll see Jackie there for sure. And you'll probably see some of these guys as well. But as far as I go, I'm out. Deuces. Peace, everybody.
All right. Bye, guys.
Wow.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.